Welcome to LCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication, the podcast that celebrates the incredible individuals who have shaped the heart and soul of the Lawrence County Community Action Partnership.
Each episode, we'll dive deep into the stories of those who have devoted their careers to making a difference, not just in our organization, but in the lives of the people we serve every day.
We'll uncover their journeys, explore the moments that inspire them, and highlight the lasting impact of their commitment to LCAP's mission.
So whether you're here to learn, be inspired, or simply celebrate the amazing people who make LCAP what it is, thank you for joining us.
This is LCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication.
Let's get started with today's guest.
You're now listening to LCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication, and we are back for another episode, and we actually made it to episode 20, so it's a huge milestone, and of course, I couldn't have made it here without my wonderful co-host, so thank you guys so much for joining me in the studio week after week.
Hello, everyone.
We wouldn't have it any other way.
Awesome. And of course, as promised, we have another special guest in the studio, and coincidence, she's almost reaching her 20th year here at LCAP, and she currently works as ACT's customer service representative. So Bobbi Man, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
So take us to the beginning. When did you start working for ACT's?
I started working here December 12th, 2005, and I almost didn't apply for the job because I didn't feel like I was qualified. I didn't know much about ACT's at the time, and then I thought, what do I have to lose? They'll either say yes or no, and I'll be here 20 years now this December.
Nice. And that's a huge milestone. And, you know, like you said, you didn't think you would do it. But now looking back, what have you learned over your time being here with the company?
Oh, my goodness, so much. I mean, just the technology changes, the amount of things that we do. You know, that's the word I would use for the last 20 years is change because things are always changing. You know, when you're dealing with medical assistants and you're dealing with clients, we have so many different ways we can do things now. So I think just change, a lot of changes.
A lot of good changes.
Oh,
huh?
yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
And how about the amount of riders, too, over the years, the increase with the riders, the numbers that we have?
That's what we just said. We serve anywhere from probably 3 to 450. And tomorrow I think we have like 496.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot.
That's amazing.
And for us
Yeah.
not to be like a big like city per se, that's amazing numbers.
It is.
What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in ACT's over the past 20 years?
Well, we used to be here at this office on Grant Street, kind of on top of each other. We had no storage, so then we moved, oh goodness, I don't know if it's been anywhere from 6 to 8 years ago maybe, over to Mercer Street where we are now. So I think that's one of the changes. And we're kind of outgrowing that, though, as well. And I think, you know, when you talk about changes, it's not just like the programs, but we have a lot of people with longevity.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we've watched each other's kids get married and have kids and kind of grow up, you know, so it's kind of like a little family.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, too, like, how do you describe the work culture at ACT's? Because, like you said, you've all been, you know, 10 plus, 20 plus years all together and seeing, you know, kids grow up and then grandkids being born. And so how would you describe the culture there at ACT's?
A family. I mean, it really is a family. Everybody looks out for everybody cares about everybody. And the clients are family. Like, we really do care about the clients. We feel bad when we lose them. You know, it's just a family.
Yeah, we've had a few people from ACT's so far on down in the podcast here in our room, and they said the same thing. They check on the riders, like if something's going on or if they haven't heard from them. You make friends and close relationships with the families of the riders. So like you said, it is a family with the people that you work with, but again, with the riders and with their families.
It's so funny because I always say that we have a lot of friends that we've never even met.
I say the same thing, too. I help do our SNAP program, so the SNAP application, and I talk to so many different people over the telephone, and I don't always get a chance to meet them, and it's just like I feel like I have so many friends, too, in Lawrence County here that I've never met, and then, you know, they'll call the next year if they need to do a renewal, and they remember you, and you remember them. I was up at Challenges today for the farmers market vouchers, and there's so many people that I helped over time. So it was nice to see like a face that you haven't seen in a while. And I'm sure that same way with Axe.
Yeah, it is.
And is there a moment or an interaction with a rider that really stuck with you over the years?
We've had a lot of clients that will say, I don't know what I would do without you. I have no other way to get anywhere. I would be stuck in the house. Sometimes, especially like a lot of our elderly passengers, like maybe the husband doesn't drive anymore and maybe the wife never did. And just to be able to get them to like the grocery store, to go to the beauty salon, to go visit a friend if they want to.
Mm-hmm. It makes a really big impact.
It does. And you don't think about it until someone says to you, I don't know what I would do without you guys.
Yeah, I took a call from a young mother maybe 2 weeks ago or so, and she needed to get down to Pittsburgh for a doctor's appointment. And she said the same thing, like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. And like, Axe, we'll take you there. We go Monday through Thursday. We'll get you there.
So what are some of the types of questions or concerns that people have when they do call in and talk to you?
They always want to know where we go and like, how does it work? Do we pick them up at their house? Do we wait on them? Which we do not. We explain that to them. Just like, where do we go? How does it work? How do they call in? Just kind of the rules of the program they want to know. They want to make sure they're not going to be stranded a lot of them, especially the elderly passengers. You're not going to leave me, right? No, we won't leave you.
You're going to be here right on this time, right?
We promise we won't leave you.
We have lots of things that we need to do in a day. Yep. They're so sweet.
And anyone who's been to Mercer Street, if you've walked around the customer representative area, you know that the phones are constantly ringing off of the hook. So kind of just walk us through your typical day as a customer service representative.
Well, we're answering phones, obviously, all day long, pretty much on and off. And then the other duties, like we also process mileage reimbursements. We give out bus tickets for medical appointments. We work with new clients, like I work with a new client, so ADA, persons with disabilities, medical assistants, and our seniors. Let's see, certain reporting that we have to do throughout the day. But we always know the number one job is answering phones, the customers, so that's our number one job.
And what would you say would be like a characteristic of someone who would fit good in a job like customer service? Because obviously you have to really care about, what you do and the people that you talk to on a daily basis.
You definitely have to be a people person. You have to like being on the phone because you're going to be a lot. I think you have to be able to multitask because we never do just one thing. We're always doing multiple things all throughout the day. And you have to be able to deal with change because we're always changing and growing.
And then is there somebody at work that inspired you? You'd like to talk about maybe a piece of advice that they gave you, or anybody at Axe that you could think of that was an inspiration to you throughout the last 20 years?
I would have to say, like Jackie being my immediate supervisor definitely sticks out. She's been there through thick and thin, seen us through, all kinds of different things. And she's just always there for us. She always is ready, willing to help, jump in. Let's see. Debbie, I've known, like I said, Debbie's going to be there 21 years. So that would be another one, just watching their kindness and their work ethic and, always having us strive to do better and be better. And just getting us through all the changes, even when we get really stressed. We're like, okay, this will be good.
Yep, we have each other to lean on.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Nobody likes change, but I have to say the changes that were made were always for the better. Even if it doesn't feel like it, they've always been for the better. I think just everybody, I like who we work with, And
you guys are very dedicated over there. Like you mentioned before we started the podcast how Vanessa, she's such a visionary. And then you also mentioned Jackie and how she always keeps you guys together. And then I know you have John and there's Mike over there. Yes. So you guys do have a really good, solid foundation of people who've been with the company for the last few years that really care.
We do.
So we know that not everything always runs super smoothly. So how do you handle when somebody calls in and they're frustrated or upset or angry?
We get that too. I try to be patient and try to help them out. I try to say, okay, what can I do for you? What is the issue? Sometimes, though, I can tell them the same exact thing and they still want a supervisor. And I'll tell Jackie that. I'll be like, Jackie, I just said the exact same thing. And she said sometimes they just want to hear it from a supervisor. So if we can't resolve it, then we will give them a supervisor and let them talk to the supervisor and see if it can be resolved that way. But we do try to resolve it. Sometimes they're just frustrated. And I understand that. I try to see where they're at and where they're coming from.
And it really takes somebody with that kind of compassion and understanding to have a position like that when you have to be patient with people and see them where they're at, not where you're at.
And as you reflect on your 20 years of being with the company, what have you learned about yourself through this job?
I have learned that I can deal with change more than I thought I could. That while I don't like it, I can in fact adapt and deal with it. I think I have learned to be more compassionate because I see so much in the people that we serve, and they're from all different walks of life, and they're going through all different kinds of things. I think I've just learned a lot in general, like technology-wise, things I would have never had to do that we're learning there. I'd say that's pretty much most of it. Just being able to adapt.
Have an open mind.
Definitely, yes, having an open mind about things, you're right.
And can you share a moment when you felt that you truly made a difference for a customer?
I think it's really just in like the customers that tell us, I do not know what I would do without you. Because we are their only option. They don't always have family, or they don't have family that lives here. So I think COVID really makes me think of a time, because it was such a hard time for everybody. And we shut down so much of our service. And I remember like when Vanessa came up with doing the meals, what a difference that was for our seniors that wouldn't have had it otherwise. Like just to be able to transport food to them. Being able to take people still to the medical appointments that they have to go because, dialysis doesn't care if you have COVID. You still have to have dialysis or you still have to go certain places. And to be able to do that, I think that made such a big impact on me.
And not only just having the food delivered, but having somebody to talk to too. I mean, like you said, a lot of times people, their families pass on or they're not around. And during that time, nobody was going to challenges as much or going to different, meetings or clubs. So to have that driver to be able to talk to or a different passenger on the bus to be able to talk to, that was probably pretty amazing to see.
It is. And we have clients even now that call in and you can tell like they'll just want to be on the phone for a while. Like you'll talk to them about some other things besides just the trip because I think they just need that. They need that connection.
And one of the main themes of this podcast is legacy. And I like to ask each guest, once you're done with the company and you're retired, what is the legacy that you're hoping to leave here at LCCAP?
I think I'd want people to say that I was kind, that, it made a difference, that I did my job, to the best of my ability, that I did my job. I think that's important.
That you actually put in the effort to the best of your ability and you tried.
And you said that you do want to be here for another 10 years. So I'm sure there's many more people and many more lives that you're going to touch within those 10 years.
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and wrap up the personal round and we're going to make our way to the quick fire round. And how that works is we're going to ask you a series of questions and you're just going to answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. So Kim and Amber, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Alrighty. So we love to talk about food and snacks around here. And I know when I was at Mercer Street, lunch was always a big deal and snacks were always a big deal. So what is your go-to snack at work?
I like chocolate. You can't go wrong with chocolate.
Never go wrong with chocolate.
No.
Is it a specific kind?
I like dark chocolate, but
Oh,
honestly,
yeah.
I'm not
It's
picky when it comes to chocolate.
It's funny we're bringing up chocolate. Well, I was at Challenges again earlier today for the farmers market voucher distribution. This one lady was like, did you ever have, and it's called something, and I wish, it's chocolate with pistachios. and it's a candy bar. And she said it's $20 a bar.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I said I've never heard of it, and I don't think that I would buy it either for $20 a
for
bar.
$20, no.
And it's not dark, but
Must be some really good chocolate.
I guess it's the best. Speaking of chocolate, yeah. And if you could travel to one place, Bobbi, where would it be, and who would it be with?
My husband and I would love to go to Hawaii or an Alaskan cruise. So it'd be one of the two we've talked about.
Either of those would be really nice.
Yes, for sure.
So what is one either like silly office tradition or inside joke or something like that around the office that always makes you laugh?
Oh my, that's something I'd have to think about for a second.
How about when Jackie says, "I'm an axe murderer"? I love that.
Or the Jackie of all trades. I think about that too.
That and all I could think of was the squirrels ran through.
Yes, yes.
And if you guys could have a theme song over at Axe, what would your song be for your department?
I think the Friends song, I think of "I'll Be There For You."
Aww.
Because we are always there for each other,
love
you know,
that.
through all the changes and all the times and different things that we deal with.
First thing in the morning tomorrow, put it on.
Yeah. When people walk in.
Yes.
If Axe had a mascot, what would it be?
I would have to say a dog because they're loyal, they're sweet. Yeah,
That's
would have
a
to
good
say
one.
a dog.
Yeah. That's a really good one. And then where do you and your husband like to go eat? And do you have any hobbies you do outside of work together?
We walk the dogs. We just recently started going back to the gym here, so. As far as going out to eat, we like Gordo's right now.
Yeah, that's a good place.
Yeah, that's one of our favorites right now. The kind of the kick we're on.
Yeah. Healthy,
Yeah,
fast, authentic.
and
yeah.
we don't have to cook it.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, and it's right up the hill.
Right, exactly.
Yep, right
It's
up the hill.
close.
It's close.
And then my last question for you, what are your plans for the summer? Are you going on any vacations this summer at all?
We are actually probably not going on vacations, but we like to, when we are off, we like to sit out on the porch. We like to just sit outside and
Little
do that for
staycation.
hours. Yeah, it really is. So we like to do that. And then we'll do day trips. We like to go to Phipps, conservatory. We like to do that sometimes. So
That's where we're going for our 4-H.
I
Yes.
love it.
It's
We
going to be
enjoy it.
my first time, so I'm super
yeah.
excited about it. Yeah, we're going in less than 2 weeks for our 4-H club's field trip.
We enjoy it.
Yeah.
So just different kind of day things.
Nice.
All right. And then if you could describe your time at LCAP in one word, what would it be?
I would say amazing.
Aw.
That
I've
was so
worked-
nice, Bobbi.
I've worked a lot of different places, and this is by far the best place I've ever worked for. You can't ask for better people, for better bosses, better coworkers. It has been an amazing ride.
So it's safe to say that you're glad that you took the chance to apply 20 years ago.
Absolutely, 100%.
Nice. And before we end the episode, is there anything else that you would like to say or get off your chest?
You know, I would just like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank Vanessa and Jackie and all of my coworkers. It's just been a really good experience. I think we have a really good team and hope it continues for the next however many years I'm there.
Awesome.
I think it will. You have two amazing ladies right there that are your leaders there at Axe. So
Yes.
I think the next several years will be just great.
And you guys have exciting things happening over there at Axe. So it's nice to see all the different things coming together for Axe.
It is.
All right. So that will wrap up our episode, and that will be episode 20 of the LCAP Legacy Decades of Dedication. Thank you so much again, Bobbi, for joining us in the studio. And thank you guys all for listening for another episode. And of course, we'll be back next week with another special guest.
Have a wonderful week, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.